Hello, welcome back to TUTV. How'd you like the new intro, folks?
That was pretty slick.
That was pretty slick. I like that a lot. I made that all by myself. Just kidding. No, I didn't. I have no idea who made that, but they did a really good job.
Took a little bit of help.
So this week, when we got Oscars zooming in real close, and we're discussing some movies that we think should have been given an Oscar nomination. For example, I think Creep 2 should have been nominated. I think so far 57 people have seen that movie. Me and my 12 friends are about a third of that. But
was it an independent
really
film or?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Very
She at a circle or?
And I saw it. It's on Netflix, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but only 2 people are in the whole movie. It's really good.
I wish Bandersnatch would have been able to make it, but I think because of the lawsuit, they probably couldn't do anything with that.
That's a good idea.
Honestly.
That would be interesting. How do you, what if one part of the movie gets nominated and the other part doesn't? You know what I mean? Different pathways. All right, folks.
Part 3 of 4.
Yeah, right. So thanks for watching that. We'll see you in a little bit. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to TUTV News. I'm Alexander Denard.
And I'm William Bennett. We've got some good stories, so let's get started.
President Trump is facing backlash after declaring a national emergency to raise additional funding for a border wall. The declaration has divided Republicans as some fear that his actions could set a precedent for future congressional overreactions. Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin expressed fear when he spoke on NBC's Meet the Press, saying, quote, "I wish he wouldn't use it in the case of many of us are concerned," end quote. Trump has created more confusion and potential legal challenge by stating that he declared the emergency not out of necessity, but to facilitate quicker wall building. Congress is expected to look into the legality and viability of the move later this week.
The Mars rover Opportunity was finally declared dead on February 12th as NASA sent a final command to the machine. Opportunity has fallen silent on June 10, 2018, as the planet was hit with the historic dust storm. Its solar panels became coated with dust, preventing the rover from powering itself. As scientists expected, Opportunity did not respond, and project manager John Callis thanked the technicians of the Deep Space Network for their hard work and dedication. Opie had become part of the family for many scientists who worked hard with the robot, and tactical uplink lead Carrie Bean even tattooed the final sunlight measurement that Opie had relayed. Its final message to the team was, "My battery is low and it's getting dark."
Pope Francis will gather at the Vatican with bishops from around the world this week to host a summit about child sex abuse scandals that have affected the Catholic Church. The heads of the church will convene from Thursday to Sunday to create an action plan to fight pedophilia. The Pope also invited several of the victims of abuse to the Vatican to pray, calling the conference, quote, "an act of strong pastoral responsibility in the face of an urgent challenge in our time," end quote. Pope Francis has already defrocked former American Cardinal Theodore McCarrick for sexual abuse allegations. The Catholic Church has faced the problem for decades, particularly in Chile and the U.S. The Pope hopes that the conference will give the bishops a change in attitude and result in more concrete guidelines on how to handle future situations.
After a year of exposure to space, scientists are investigating the changes that have occurred in astronaut Scott Kelly's body compared to his twin brother, Mark, who remained on Earth. The two twins signed up to become a part of a study about the effect of space on humans. Upon return, Scott's immune system became hyperactive and changed the activity of some of his genes. Geneticist Christopher Mason describes the surprising results as if, quote, "the body is reacting to this environment sort of like you would a mysterious organism being inside you," end quote. He compares it to how the body would adapt to any change in an environment. While most functions returned to normal shortly after Kelly's return to Earth, his immune-related genes still retain their high alertness even 6 months later.
Tulsa will be represented again as the newest warship in the Navy's fleet. The newly commissioned USS Tulsa will head out under the Golden Gate Bridge next week after being formally commissioned on Saturday in San Francisco. Former mayor and ship sponsor Kathy Taylor spoke highly of the vessel, saying, quote, "The USS Tulsa is a ship that is truly worthy to carry the Tulsa name, the Tulsa spirit, and our heritage," end quote. Taylor was contacted in 2014 following the Navy's tradition of naming a woman as a ship sponsor, and she has seen the craft through since conception. Current Mayor G.T. Bynum praised the boat's resilience as representative of the city, citing Tulsan's commitment to the city in spite of the 1921 racial violence, floods, drought, and tornadoes.
Russian island town is being terrorized by polar bears. Novaya Zemlya, a quiet settlement of 2,000, is now involved in a turf war against dozens of the animals. Polar bears have been forced to migrate to the town as global warming has melted their homes. TASS, Russia's state news agency, reports that the animals are attempting to enter buildings and homes, as well as chasing residents and engaging in aggressive behavior. Many are afraid to leave their children at school and to leave their homes. Unfortunately, if Russian authorities cannot figure out another way to keep them from menacing the residents, they may have to be selectively slaughtered.
Bro, that's literally like the most Russian story I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
My town is getting plagued by bear. Is problem for us.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That is definitely a very Russian story.
Right? I mean, like, your grandpa had to like climb through snow both ways to get to school. They just have to fight bears to get to school, man. Like, what?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, that's all we have for this week. I'm William Bennett.
And I'm Alexander Denard. We'll see y'all next week.
Hey guys, it's me, Devyn. Welcome to the interview section of this TUTV segment. I'm here with David A. Davis. How you doing today, David?
I'm great, thanks.
Awesome. So, before we get started, just tell us a little about who you are and what exactly you do.
Sure. I'm Associate Professor of English at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia. And I'm here today because we're hosting a screening of Stanley Kubrick's film, Paths of Glory, this evening.
That's awesome. So it's this evening. Mm-hmm. That is really incredible. So tell me a little bit about Paths of Glory and the screening that's going to take place.
Sure. So the movie is filmed in 1957. So it's a Cold War era movie, but it's set in the context of World War I. And it's about this particular offensive by the French army that fails, and then what happens after the offensive fails. So it's not so much about one army fighting against another, it's about the members of one army fighting against each other and trying to determine what they're actually fighting for. So it brings us into some really complicated psychological issues about what motivates people, their ambitions, their faults, their foibles, their flaws. It's a really fascinating film to think about that against the context of war and matters of life and death.
Absolutely. So when people mostly think of like World War I context, they're gonna think of the violent parts. They're gonna picture Saving Private Ryan in their head. They're gonna picture that. So this one is a much more personal and mental impact.
Yes.
So did you have to read like the screenplay going into this? Like, what's the vastness of all that in it?
Yes. Well, I've done a great deal of research on World War I and modernism. I published a book on World War I and literature. I've taught courses on World War I and modernism, and so. The discussion came up about representing the memory of World War I and what film would tie into that. And so I automatically go to this particular film, even though it's made in the 1950s, because it represents the context of that moment and the inner strife in a really interesting way. It's based on a novel by a World War I veteran named Humphrey Cobb, who published the novel Paths of Glory in 1935. And it's based on a mutiny within the French military. An attack was ordered, the men in the trenches refused to leave the trenches, and the high command, they felt like they needed to set an example. And so this is the context of the film. But if you do like battle scenes, it does have some fantastic battle scenes, but the battle doesn't go very well for the French army.
Really? So there is their multi-elements. You're going to get the natural, it's taking place in a war, but it really wants you to focus on, would you say, character development?
Yes.
As such?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So that plays a major big role to it. What is your like favorite aspect of this film personally, though?
So in this film, we get to think about what actually motivates people in the context of a war. What are they fighting for? Are they fighting for their country? Are they fighting for themselves? Are they fighting out of obligation? Are they fighting for duty? What are people willing to kill for? And what are they willing to die for?
That's really interesting. That sounds something like I'd really want to see. You said the screening's tonight?
It's tonight,
What-
6 p.m. in Lorton Hall.
6 p.m. in Lorton Hall. So tell me like a little bit what's going to happen. Is it just going to show the film itself tonight?
Yes, so tonight the film will be screened, and then afterwards, myself and Dr. Bob Jackson from the English department at TU are going to have a conversation about the film, in which we pull out some of these issues, and we'll invite some audience participation for people to offer their own opinions and perspectives about the films. So it should be a really interesting conversation, and this is part of a larger series of events based on memory being hosted by the Oklahoma Center for Humanities.
That is really neat. So what, in your mind, what do you think is going to be the reaction to the audience with this film? Because it is a different type of war film.
Right.
So what do you think?
I think people are going to be surprised by how much they enjoy the film. This is a very high quality film, and if you've never seen it before, it's one that you definitely should consider. It's on most top 100 film lists.
Really?
And not the most famous film on those lists. So definitely a good investment of a couple of hours on an otherwise cold, rainy evening.
Okay. So as we're finishing up here, tell me a little bit about what brings it to TU.
So the Oklahoma Center for Humanities is hosting a series of events on the issue of memory and how we construct social and collective memory, what issues we want to remember, what issues perhaps we don't want to remember so much. This one lets us to think a little bit about the memory of World War I. This year is the centennial of the end of World War I. And one of the most interesting points to me is in the United States, we haven't observed a significant amount of memorials to this particular war.
Absolutely.
So this gives us an opportunity to think a little bit about what that war means and how we could or should remember it.
And also from a different perspective, like from the French perspective as well, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's truly incredible. Well, hey, David, thank you so much for being on the show today, and I hope everyone can make it out there tonight. Awesome. So I'm Devyn, and this is David. Definitely check out the screening of Paths of Glory tonight. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to TUTV Sports. I'm Dusty.
And I'm Sam. The NBA All-Star break was this past weekend, and our TU basketball teams were in action. Let's see what's been going on this week, though.
The Golden Hurricane men's basketball team took care of business in their games this past week. On Thursday, Frank Haith's bunch traveled to New Orleans to take on the Tulane Green Wave, who have been struggling this year. Tulsa gained control of the game early and never gave it up. Jeremiah Horn had 20 points and 12 rebounds with help from Daquan Jeffries and Martins Igbanu, who each had 15 points. The Golden Hurricane won in a blowout 80-57. Tulsa then made the trek to Greenville, North Carolina for their meeting with ECU. The Pirates gave the Hurricane much more fight than Tulane. It seemed as if Tulsa had it won, but ECU battled back to take the lead late in the second half. The teams traded baskets in the winning moments, but it was ultimately Sterling Taplin who separated the teams with the three-pointer. The 77-73 win makes it 3 in a row for Tulsa, whose hosts Wichita State here in the Reynolds Center on Wednesday night.
The Tulsa women's basketball team traveled to Tampa, Florida this weekend to face the Bulls of USF. The Hurricanes started well and managed to hold a lead at the half. Kendrian Elliott contributed 10 points off the bench as Tulsa would hold a 3-point advantage going into the fourth quarter. But the buckets dried up for the Hurricane. The Bulls held Tulsa to only 2 points in the final frame and held on for the victory at home. The loss puts Tulsa at 11-13 on the season. Another big week approaches the Golden Hurricane as they go to Cincinnati on Wednesday and then host Connecticut on Sunday.
This past weekend was the NBA All-Star Weekend. The All-Star break is a rejuvenation period for most of the league, but the best and brightest are still on display. Saturday night features the three-point shootout and the dunk contest, while the All-Star game itself was on Sunday. Paul George and Russell Westbrook were the representatives from the Thunder, with rookie Hamidou Diallo competing in the slam dunk contest. Diallo took center stage on Saturday with a flying dunk over former All-Pro Shaquille O'Neal. The Superman-esque flight, along with slams assisted from the likes of Westbrook and Quavo, earned him the dunk contest crown. The Thunder will look to keep their momentum going before the break when they host the Utah Jazz on Friday night.
The Tulsa women's tennis team has been active over the past week. Last weekend, the ladies hosted Arkansas at the Case Tennis Center. The Razorbacks had only lost one match coming into this one. The match started well for the Golden Hurricane, with Martina Okolova and Vera Ploner collecting the first doubles victory. The win was immediately followed by Tulsa athletes ousting the second Razorback duo 6-2. It ended up being a comprehensive win for the Hurricane, who moved to 7-5 on the season. Next up for the ladies is a trip to Lawrence, Kansas on Saturday to face the 12th ranked Jayhawks.
The Golden Hurricanes men's tennis team hosted a tough opponent this weekend in LSU. The Tigers claimed the first two doubles matches, and it was downhill from there. Cody Pearson's winning run had dried up as he dropped his singles and doubles match. Most matches were close, but Tulsa could not do enough in singles to win. The 5-2 loss moves Tulsa to 9-4 on the season. The men will have a chance to get back to their best this weekend when they host Baylor on Saturday at the Case Center.
Hello friends, and welcome back to this week's campus calendar. I'm Sierra Thorne. We start this week off with an interesting event. On February 18th, a speaker will come and talk about weed in Let's Talk About It, medical marijuana event in the Student Union at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Next, TUTV's Graduate Diversity and Inclusion is hosting Black Wall Street Tour on February 20th at 5 p.m. The event is free, but hurry, there are only 30 spots left. Reserve yours at the University of Tulsa's website underneath event calendar. We also have men's basketball game at 8 p.m. versus Wichita State. And our Black History Month event this week is Expression with Cypher 120, which takes place on February 21st in the Student Union at 7 p.m. Here you can enjoy all the talents of Black and African culture, from rhythm and blues to soul food. On February 24th, we have women's basketball versus UConn at 2 p.m. And later that evening, TUTV is hosting TUTV's Academy Awards live streaming on our Facebook page. You can even take it a step further and come to Kendall Hall to get behind the scenes access. Thank you for tuning in to your campus calendar. I'm Sierra Thorne, and I'll see you next week.
Hello and welcome to TUTV Entertainment. I'm Christina Buell.
And I'm Brett, and I'm only wearing these sunglasses because your future is just way too bright, especially with TUTV. Let's just jump into it.
Netflix has become the first streaming service to receive a nomination for Best Picture. The Spanish drama Roma was nominated for Best Picture and 9 other awards, including Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Cinematography. The films Yalitza Aparicio and Marina de Tavira also earned individual honors in the lead actress and supporting actress categories. This drama is not the first from Netflix's service to be nominated for an Oscar. The documentary The Square was nominated for Best Documentary in 2013.
The cold never bothered us at TU anyway, but it is hitting Arendelle again in November of this year. This past week, Disney dropped the first teaser trailer for Frozen 2, showing the original characters played by Jonathan Groff, Kristen Bell, and Idina Menzel are back with a more suspenseful story. This sequel will be following a 5-year gap after Frozen, one of Disney's most successful movies in history. Frozen had over $1.2 million in worldwide box offices and sold over 3 million copies of Idina Menzel's theme song, Let It Go.
Rapper 21 Savage was just released from Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody due to a bond on February 13th. The rapper, whose actual name is Shia bin Abraham Joseph, was arrested on February 3rd by ICE due to being born in the United Kingdom and remaining here on a visa that expired in 2006. The Tuesday before his release, the website Mike posted a video with many other celebrities and created the hashtag #Free21Savage. DJ Khaled stated, quote, "No person in this world deserves to be treated like this. The time for change is now," end quote.
Disney's streaming service called Disney Plus announced that they will be featuring High School Musical in a new series called High School Musical, The Series. This new reboot from the High School Musical franchise will be placed 15 years later with a whole new cast and no returners due to the series being a cover of the original trilogy. The show will focus on a new group of Wildcats from East High who are putting on a performance of High School Musical for the Winter Musical. This series will be released later this year, but until then, Wildcats, keep your head in the... Oh my.
Darcy Lynn Farmer, an Oklahoma City native, almost became a 2-time winner of America's Got Talent this year. The 14-year-old first won America's Got Talent in 2017 with her ventriloquist act, in which she kept conversations and sang with several different puppets. Darcy was able to compete again this year in America's Got Talent, the championships, where she faced off against other worldwide winners or memorable performers from various seasons. Darcy won runner-up this season to Shin Lim with her impressive sets. If you would like to see her perform live, she will be in the Civic City Music Hall in Oklahoma City on May 12th of this year.
What's the sitch on Kim Possible today, you may ask? Well, Disney's animated series has recently become a live-action movie. This new Disney Channel original movie focuses on the homegrown concept of Kim Possible, starting high school and seeking to thwart the latest nefarious plots of Draken and Shigo, alongside her friends Ron and Wade. The live-action movie was also used as a way to drive merchandise and help promote Fastlane, a new 8-part series about a 12-year-old girl who discovers a talking car named Vin, which previewed after the movie. The new Kim Possible film premiered on Disney Channel on February 15th. So many puns.
That's a lot of Disney.
You know, okay, so let's talk about this just really quick.
Yeah.
We have High School Musical, The Series.
That is
We
just
have
too much.
a rehash of Kim Possible, and we have a rehash of Herbie.
What?
And the old talking Volkswagen Beetle thing. And plus a lot of Star Wars, and they're making an animated series out of everything. People, I hate to break it to you, but Disney is officially out of content.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Christina.
And I'm Brett.
And this has been TUTV Entertainment.
Man, a couple of hot takes coming from Brett over here today.
I almost agree. It seems like nowadays movies are just beating a dead horse.
Shoot, man. But like, come on. This is a replication of what society is, okay? They're making money off it. So what is it saying? It's saying that the people that watch it are stupid, like me. It's like, eat that up.
Buying
You know what I'm
into the 11th Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
The
Give me more.
6th Batman.
Eat it up. No, but I think I'm excited for everything, man. I'm excited
You
for
are?
it all. Dude, Frozen 2 is going to be a banger.
I'm skeptical of that one.
I
I don't know. It might be good.
It's going to be great.
Because
What
it's
do you
not
mean?
on its 8th one yet. It's only on the 2nd.
Yeah.
So
No,
it
it's
might
good.
actually be good.
I see. I like Frozen 1, but like actually like look back on some of the plot points of that movie, kind of iffy.
Well, it's because they adapted it from the original novel.
They
from
did?
Hans Christian Andersen. It was a much more actually like violent, for lack of better words.
You read, bro?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You read, bro? Can I get that on my bumper?
Yeah. And what was it? High School Musical. I don't even want to
That's
get into
actually
that.
adapted from a novel as well, from Dante.
Can you shut up? Not adopted from Dante. Get out of here. All right, folks. Thanks for watching this episode. You have a good one. Stay warm out there.
Smash like.